to your heart and I can tell when you're frontin'. I release the fury, I release the love. You feel the connection and the goodness of the God I speak of. Come on. A new revolution for the extremists.
How you guys doing today? Jason A. Kuhn here, giving you a Fight the Deception with Christian Perception news brief for Memorial Day, May 26, 2014. All articles discussed today will be linked in full in the YouTube description box. We do have a lot of news today with a little time, so we'll jump into it here at ChristopherCantwell.com. Memorial Day. Thanks for being dead, soldier. A rather twisted religious ritual takes place today. Adherents to the statist faith will take to the streets and parades to worship the many dead who have given up their lives for their deity. The state. Military hardware will roll down traditionally civilian roads, and the people this hardware oppresses will call it freedom. They call this ceremony Memorial Day. It is one of the more bizarre sacraments this religion practices, in that it is a direct celebration of death. Most of their observances tend to gloss over the fact that they are a death cult, speaking instead of an ill-defined notions of freedom, democracy, equality, or superiority over other such cults. Memorial Day instead celebrates the deaths of all American war dead, a number which exceeds 1.32 million people. To those not under the influence of cult leaders, surely this seems rather morbid. Few of us can imagine the rationale behind a national holiday celebrating over 1 million deaths. Celebrating the Holocaust, for example, would cause one to be run out of town, and rightfully so. For them, however, this all seems perfectly normal, even noble. In fact, it is a necessary act if the cult is to maintain its army of slaves. The celebration serves to instill in the impressionable minds of the young a sense of honor in being killed by a stranger halfway across the world. Without that, it would be difficult, if not impossible, to keep future generations adding themselves to the pile of bodies created by the war machine, since, in theory, there is no monetary compensation that can accommodate the loss of one's own life. Superstition, paranoia, and a complex system of irrational beliefs are necessary to keep the scheme going. Wow, wonderfully said. Let's move on here to RealClearPolitics.com. Greenwald's finale, naming victims of surveillance. The man who helped bring about the most significant leak in American intelligence history is to reveal names of U.S. citizens targeted by their own government in what he promises will be the, quote, biggest revelation from nearly 2 million classified files. Glenn Greenwald, the journalist who received the trove of documents from Edward Snowden, a former NSA contractor, told the Sunday Times that Snowden's legacy would be, quote, shaped in a large part by this, quote, finishing piece still to come. His plan to publish names will further unnerve an American intelligence establishment already reeling from 11 months of revelations about U.S. government surveillance activities. Greenwald, who is promoting his new book, No Place to Hide, and is trailed by a documentary crew wherever he goes, was speaking in a boutique hotel near Harvard where he was to appear with Noam Chomsky, the octogenarian leftist academic. Quote, one of the biggest questions when it comes to domestic spying is who have been the NSA's specific targets, he said. Quote, are they political critics and dissidents and activists? Are they genuinely people we'd regard as terrorists? What are the metrics and calculations that go into choosing those targets, and what is done with the surveillance that is conducted? Those are the kinds of questions that I want still to answer, unquote. And so do I. Let's move on here to RT.com. Inspired by Terminator, scientists create self-assembling bionic particles. Wow, the world took one significant step closer to inventing a real-life cybernetic organism as U.S. scientists, inspired by the Terminator movie, combine organic matter with semiconductors in a process that replicates plants' transformation of light into fuel. The breakthrough is quite significant. Scientists at universities in Michigan and Pittsburgh believe their blend of a chemical used in a solar panels and plant protein that acts during photosynthesis, quote, recreate the process that allows plants to turn sunlight into fuel, unquote. It's from the Michigan press release, cites the team as saying, quote, human endeavors to transform the energy of sunlight into biofuels using either artificial materials or whole organisms have low efficiency, unquote. Nicholas Kotoff, Florence B. Sebchka, professor of engineering at the University of Michigan and leader of the study, explained. But what he and his peers have accomplished with their bionic approach is a true step forward as it combines two of the most important features of its components, the strength of inorganic materials which convert light into electric energy with biological molecules, whose chemical attributes bring those mechanical processes to life. Wow. Let's move on here to countercurrents.org, worldwide march against Monsanto. A global event challenging the agricultural behemoth Monsanto's efforts to dominate the world food supply is taking place across the globe as millions of anti-GMO activists join forces against the biotech giant. More than 400 cities will march against Monsanto. The march against the U.S. chemical and agriculture company Monsanto is in an effort to boycott the use of genetically modified organisms in food production. Marches were planned in 52 countries in addition to some 47 U.S. states that are joining in the protest. Quote, MAM supports a sustainable food production system. We must act now to stop GMOs and harmful pesticides, unquote, said Tammy Monroe, Canal founder of March Against Monsanto, MAM, in a press release ahead of the global event. The movement was formed after the 2012 California Proposition 37 on mandatory labeling of genetically engineered food initiative failed, prompting activists to demand a boycott of the GMO in food production. I agree. Let's move on here to worldtruth.tv, 10 facts you must know about the Jesuits. The Society of Jesus, more commonly referred to as the Jesuits, are the armed militia of the Roman Catholic Church. They were sanctioned in 1540 by Pope John Paul III with one mandate: to defeat Protestantism and regain global papal rule. To achieve this monumental task, they employ ever-adapting methods of pseudo-education, social programs, infiltration, and all wickedness that could possibly be conceived. Needless to say, they are achieving great success in their mission, which is climaxing with the present Pope, Pope Francis VIII, and the last Pope of Revelation 17, who held some of the highest positions in Argentina, including Provincial Superior in the Society of Jesus and Archbishop of Buenos Aires. He was made a cardinal by Pope John Paul II. Today, most of the world is oblivious as to how the Jesuits operate from their inception to this very day. Now more than ever, World's Last Chance believes it is exceedingly important to bring up the following historical facts about this evil society to dispose the wicked nature of this malevolent order. So here are the 10 facts. Fact number 1, Pope Clement XIV abolished the Jesuits as a society in 1773. Fact 2, no other entity on earth was expelled and suppressed by Catholic and non-Catholic countries as the Jesuits. Fact number 3, Hitler modeled his dreaded SS army and party after the organizational structure of the Jesuits and the Roman Catholic Church. Fact number 4, over the last 400 years, the Jesuits have succeeded in establishing the largest worldwide network of schools and universities. Fact number 5, agents of the Jesuits have been responsible for assassinating many heads of states over the centuries. Fact number 6, let me scroll down here. This is a long article. I highly suggest you check this out. It will be linked to the YouTube description box. Fact number 6, the Jesuits today control all the powerful secret societies that are shaping the New World Order. Keep scrolling down. Fact number 7, the Jesuits are responsible for fomenting the 2 world wars and escalating the Vietnam War after President Kennedy's assassination. Might add that they also are responsible for President Abraham Lincoln's assassination. Let's keep scrolling down here to fact number 8. After Pope Pius the 12th was freed from exile in 1814, his first order of business upon returning to Rome was to restore the Jesuit order. That is Pope Pius VII. Let's move on down here. Fact number 9, the Jesuit order took over the office of Inquisition shortly after it was sanctioned, and this led to the martyrdom of millions of saints. Let's scroll all the way down here to fact number 10, the Jesuits succeeded in their destructive agenda through dominating the confessor field wherever they went. Let's move on here to popdollar.com. It begins, pedophiles call for the same rights as homosexuals. Using the same tactics used by gay rights activists, pedophiles have begun to seek similar status, arguing their desire for children is a sexual orientation no different than heterosexual or homosexuals. Critics of the homosexual lifestyle have long claimed that once it became acceptable to identify homosexuality as simply an, quote, alternative lifestyle or sexual orientation, logically nothing would be off limits. Gay advocates have taken offense at such a position, insisting this would never happen. However, psychiatrists are now beginning to advocate redefining pedophilia in the same way homosexuality was redefined several years ago. Wow. Let's move on to the last article of the day. This is at WND.com. Did co-ed killer channel Satan? In the biblical account of the Garden of Eden, the ancient serpent, later described as the devil or Satan, tempted the first humans by declaring, if they defied their creator, ye shall be as gods. Those haunting words were echoed in a video released by Elliot Rodger, the 22-year-old suspect in the Isla Vista, California shooting that killed 7, including the shooter, May 23rd. Quote, I will be a god compared to you, Rodger declares in the haunting video posted to YouTube only hours before the shooting. Quote, you are animals and I will slaughter you like animals. I will be a god, exacting my retribution, unquote. Rodger's video is a chilling manifesto of loneliness, hatred, and revenge spurred on, he says, by college girls who repeatedly rejected his sexual advances. College, he says, is a time of, quote, hedonistic pleasures, unquote, that these girls denied him and thus they deserve to die. Quote, I wanted sex, I wanted love, affection, adoration, Rodgers declares. You think I'm unworthy? That's a crime that can never be forgiven, unquote. Quote, I'll take great pleasure in slaughtering all of you, he says. Quote, you will finally see what I am in truth, the superior one, the true alpha male, unquote. The Santa Barbara Sheriff's Office has linked the shooting described as a, quote, premeditated mass murder to the video titled Elliot Rodger's Retribution. The video clip, quote, appears to be connected at this time, stated Santa Barbara Sheriff Bill Brown, as quoted by the Los Angeles Times. Fox News confirmed that the several of the dead, as Rodgers threatens in the video, were killed at a sorority house. The video itself can be seen below. Of course, this will be linked in the YouTube description box. The biblical account of Satan describes an angel who in his pride longed to take the throne of God and was cast out of heaven for his rebellion. In revenge, he makes war against the people of God, seeking those he can devour. He strikes back at God by destroying and killing humanity, said to be made, quote, in God's image. Rodgers' words in this chilling video echo similar themes. Quote, tomorrow is the day I will have revenge on humanity, Rodgers says. I hate all of you. Humanity is a disgusting, wretched, depraved species. If I had it in my power, I would stop at nothing to reduce every single one of you to mountains of skulls and rivers of blood, and rightfully so. You deserve to be annihilated, and I will give that to you, unquote. Wow. That's all the articles I got for you guys today. I don't want to leave you without the New World Order quote of the day. Quote, we are grateful to the Washington Post, the New York Times, Time Magazine, and other great publications whose directors have attended our meetings and respected their promises of discretion for almost 40 years. It would have been impossible for us to develop our plan for the world if we had been subject to the bright lights of publicity during those years. But the work is now much more sophisticated and prepared to march towards a world government. The supranational sovereignty of an intellectual elite and world bankers is surely preferable to the national autodetermination practice in past centuries, unquote. That's David Rockefeller himself, founder of the Trilateral Commission, in an address to a meeting of the Trilateral Commission, June 1991. Of course, I don't want to leave you without the proverb of the day, Proverbs 29:1, King James only. He that being often reproved hardeneth his neck shall suddenly be destroyed, and that without remedy. Again, that's all the quotes, articles, and news I got for you guys today. I'll leave you off with the song I brought you in on by CR33, A New Revolution.